Alrighty. Well, we'll go ahead and hop into it. So today I want to talk about the brand S Collective. So we're going to go over the logo first. We're going to talk about what that is, what it represents, everything about it. So why did you choose the color palette you did? The font.
Because we couldn't decide.
Yeah.
We really just wanted to anger Kurt because he hates black. And so we went with all black. Shoes, shirt.
It's a damn
It's
conspiracy.
a conspiracy.
That's funny.
Give him black
They was trying to
Christmas.
outvote me. I come in strong, and then they're like, no, we're going to keep it boring and simple.
What Kurt forgets, though, is he looks fabulous in
I
black.
was gonna say
Well, he is mad, so the plan worked, guys.
Yeah.
perfect.
But yeah, so tell me more about the actual logo itself, the S and 3. So what does that represent?
I say, Kurt Smith, Daniel Smith, and Cody Smith. So, it was a culmination of all the brands that we've worked on, brands that we've built, bringing them together. So collective, but the S is very simple. It's Smith.
Smith?
Yeah.
Smith. And then the 3 represents the 3 of y'all.
And,
correct?
and Daniel's the one that came up with the collective.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I love how the 3 kind of makes it more personal to y'all. And it looks like a track too, which is pretty cool. So it's a cool little.
It's been really well received. We get lots of compliments on.
Yeah, it is a really cool. It's very unique. It's kind of different though because it's like we go by S Collective, but the 3's in there kind of gets people curious.
We've got a lot of like S3,
Yeah.
3S.
Yeah.
We get a
3
lot
collective.
of customers. Yeah.
It's okay.
It's
Keep
growing
people
pains.
talking.
Yeah, exactly. It invokes a little curiosity.
Publicity we're talking about.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, who's this S3 people? Cool. So define the S Collective. What was the point of becoming the collective? What inspired that?
Confusion about all the different brands that we had under our umbrella. I wish I had some fancy answer, Gavin,
Okay.
but the answer is that people are like, 10 Flat? Are you Veloce? Are you Safe Place? Are you Henderson's Detailing? Are you,
Yeah.
Slambo Media? Whatever. It was. Unless Kurt or Daniel has a different answer, I think it was just to stop all the confusion and bring cohesion, especially from a marketing perspective.
Yeah.
It needed to happen.
Yeah.
Right. So, when you have that many businesses operating basically under one roof, at some point, it's ideal to rebrand or to create an umbrella company, that can hold all that. And so we need to have an identity out in the marketplace. So that's where we sat down and
Yeah.
came up with the S Collective.
We needed cohesion.
We did.
Yeah, I can say it definitely makes it easier to see it all together. Well, first of all, it's the first of its kind, so it's a one-stop shop for everything. But yeah, it makes it a lot easier to just be like, oh, S Collective, they do everything.
Yeah, that's an interesting statement, Gavin. It is one of the only companies like it in the country, I think.
Yeah, most people just focus on one part, and that's what y'all did originally, but then had the fantastic idea to each come together and then just make each other stronger.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, we're a one-stop shop for everything, for not just exotics, for any.
any car. can
Any
come
car.
in. Yeah.
I dare say I think we could actually build like from beginning to finish on a car.
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, we literally do every step of the process.
You just said you're buying that dream car of yours then.
I know it. You just get that super light. Oh my gosh! One day,
Please enlighten us. The audience.
the SLC, it's a kit car of sorts. It's a manufactured car. You have to build it yourself, but everything comes to you. All of the panels, the frame, everything. So you could do it with hand tools.
That's pretty cool.
Essentially. Yeah, you're not welding. You're not doing anything like that. But it is
Big Lego set you got to paint.
it's a
Kinda
grown
Ikea
man
car.
erector set, I guess. Yeah, but it's made to house an LS engine, which
Sweet.
I'm kind of
You're
a fan,
big fan?
of.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but I mean, it is a very well sorted vehicle. I know it holds track records all across the country. It is a quick machine.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we
no.
could build it here.
Yeah,
what-
exactly.
Yeah, we could.
Exactly. Yeah, back to the S Collective. So what was it like having to, one, set aside your personal brand name, but then getting to make the S or Smith Collective, getting to put your name in that again, but you're not sticking with the original name that y'all had. What was that like for y'all to kind of put that away and then go on to something new?
I think,
Difficult.
yeah, I think it could be. It was challenging for everybody at this table. in the sense that, when you build something from scratch yourself, and you have to give that up at some point, it's kind of an emotional moment. I remember, and still to this day, people ask me, how I feel about it. I'm sad, but I'm excited about what we are creating. So
That's what I was going to say, Kurt. I really don't care. I mean, I'm so excited about what we're doing and where we're going. The past is just, the past is great. We built it. We started it. Daniel and I started Veloce from nothing. Kurt started 10 Flat from nothing. But where we are today, I don't have any. Kurt's excitement is the right word, right? I mean, that's. Don't you think? Dan?
Excitement for now.
And holding
I know
on
we're
to
talking
all
about
that.
when we made the switch. Now it's amazing.
Yeah. Now the brand is this,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
So, and that's what we're excited to share and wear, out and about. But, our individual history is what led to this. And so I'm never throwing away the shirts or the hats or the swag that I created and had.
Yeah, 300 pounds.
And especially for my kids, because they talk about it, right? My family talks about it. And so those things are part of the story. And so same thing with Scuderia and Veloce. And so I think it's important to know where we started, but it's exciting as to where we're going.
That's funny what Kurt just said. I opened my journal this morning and it said, reflect on the last 12 months and your accomplishments. There's like a page of them. I mean, there's
Should be a whole chapter there, buddy.
there's so many things that we've accomplished in the last 12 months. It's if you write down all the things that have changed over the last 12 months, it's astonishing how far we've come. I mean, I blessed is the only word that I
We
can
just
think
hit
of.
our year mark.
Yeah. And we just hit our 2-year mark.
We did.
Yep.
We had a client show up last night. We stayed kind of late working with him.
Yep.
Had an R8 and showed him around, showed him the plans, told him the story. He's in commercial real estate, and he was like, "Oh, you guys have done a lot in a year."
Yeah.
Especially from a building aspect, right? That to him it told what direction we're going, and we have the right team in place. So it's exciting. I think over the initial sting of losing your brand, but when you're building something even cooler with some great people, you just set that emotion aside and you go, cool. Yeah. This is where we're going.
Yeah, you kind of hinted at that for a second. You said, "Well, now it's fine," but like, what was that like in the beginning? As soon as you were like, "Oh, it's,"
I think all three of us at the table have a lot of pride in what we do, what we've done, what we continue to do, and so when you build your own brand, how the level that you want to execute on, how to operate at that in that sector, I guess. So combining other companies, the first thing I'm going to do, because it's just who I am, is I'm like, well, do they do it the way we do it? Is it, is it the level that it needs to be at? Kurt made that pretty easy. He and his team, they were ready to go.
Silvio too.
I was going to say, Silvio was, I went off of Kurt. Kurt's like, this is the guy. I'm like, oh, all right, I believe you. And then I saw him. Oh, okay, that's the guy.
Yeah.
So it made that transition much easier. But like Kurt said, and it's the first company that Cody and I built together, So seeing that name kind of just fade off, it's like, oh, okay. But I'm in the same boat. I've still got the T-shirts and the hats. I'm not getting rid of them.
I wouldn't. Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, in fact, we Kurt and I talked about this the other day, Dan. We need to frame some of that stuff.
Oh yeah,
and put it in the new shop. I
think you should.
A hallway. I don't know.
Well,
Kurt and
I
I talked
have
about
pictures.
pictures.
I was cleaning out, making some room in the closet, and I came across the sketch pad, and it has, because I dated everything, it has all my renderings that I drew out until I created the 10 Flat logo. It was just kind of
that in
cool
museum.
to go back through and
put some of those pages in there.
like, okay, there were 30 drawings that were terrible, and then all of a sudden it morphed into this. And
Kurt, we should frame one of those. I mean, things like that would be
awesome.
We could get some locks of Rassie's hair, frame that.
Dude. Well, Josh
Locks
actually
of Rassie's hair.
3D printed the Veloce logo.
Yeah.
I'm
Put that
never
in the
letting
frame.
that go.
We could put that in a
That's
frame,
gonna be on my
too.
desk.
Yeah.
It'll be in the
That
back.
thing is cool,
It'll be in
yeah.
the back, but it'll be in the office somewhere.
well, we
because
got
that was the
to
first
spot
time.
to put Greg's 300-pound sign.
Yeah. But that was the first time I had seen our logo like printed and in 3D. You know, Josh did that for us just kind of out of the blue. It was like, here.
Yeah.
And it's just so cool to see, you know, so
It was pretty cool.
that's going to be around forever.
Yeah, for sure. So y'all keep talking about being excited for the future. What does that look like? What is the S Collective becoming? What do y'all want it to become? What does it look like in the future?
I think it just continues to evolve, right? We know what we're good at now, and we're continuing to push those boundaries, but we're constantly adding to our portfolio. And it's like, you know, we'll meet somebody and that door opens up and you're like, ooh, let's explore that, or let's explore this. So I don't know if there's an end point, but I do know we're just constantly adding and growing. Yeah. So
yeah, to me, it's my job to continue to evolve the vision, right? That's my job, right? So for me, I'm always looking for what's next, but not what's next to get rid of anything. What's next to build the brand next? And I think that media is our next. You know, media is our next stop. You know, and I think that media is our next stop, and then getting customers that are outside of our current customer base is the next stop. Because right now, to become a client of ours, yes, we have some organic clients that come around. They see but pretty much, I think you two would agree that, or you two, Gavin, I think you guys would agree that in order to get to us to become a customer, you pretty much have to be referred to us by somebody else. So I think broadening our footprint and bringing more customers that are not part of our group or our friend group or our friends' group, I think that's part of our evolution next. And then producing, you know, more content and getting Rassi and Gavin and Salim, you know, and that team doing things that are outside of their comfort zone for marketing as well.
Yeah.
Outside. So that's, to me, culture. That's where, when I see this growing, we've managed to change quite a few things, I think, kind of locally and in the industry when it comes to how we treat employees, customers, the vision that we have for what we're doing. Wanting to include the entire family, not just the driver of the vehicle. The events that we throw, it's not really so much about the car. It's about the people. We're when I look at the future, you know, I think that's what makes us strong too. Is, you know, he has what he's doing, you've got what you're doing, and to me, within our company and within the building, it's like, how can we keep? There's just something special going on with everybody.
Kurt's word evolution was right? Yeah. We're continually refining who we are, who we want to be, and where we're. I think Kurt's asleep. There you go. Okay. Okay. No, but we're continually refining who we are, who we want to be, and where we're going, and then that's all going to culminate in the new facility.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So what goes into like creating a brand like that? That's never like done, as you say.
Not getting too far ahead of yourself, right? I think identifying what we're great at, mastering those skills is really important. And then not only being visionaries, but constantly assessing what the market has and what it needs. And then being a part of something new, right? Not just regurgitating the same old content or the same old products, right? How do we sell film different? Well, it starts with sales process and employees and application process. And, you know, there are some things that are consistent across, you know, industries, but there's other ways to go about installing or handling or dealing with. And I think, you know, we have a good pulse on what the market's doing, or at least we think so. And being a part of a leading company is constantly kind of pushing limits, retaining clients, growing our employee base. And so there's a lot of different facets, but I think pushing the industry and pushing this market is really part of what we do and what we do well. So,
yeah. Is it more of like research behind it where you're like, okay, this is what I really think we need? Or is it like, I think this would be fun. let's just go for it, and kind of a leap of faith?
Well, I think it's a combination of all those things, right? So, first, we like taking risk, right? That's something that I teach these guys, that there is absolutely no reward without substantial risk, and so you have to be willing to take risk, right? And then
Calculated.
calculated risk, yeah, of course. But we take risk, and with that risk comes, maybe potential for some small failures along the way. But I think what Kurt said again goes back to, we're trying to listen to the clients, what they want, the things they want that are different, what their needs are. And then we have to listen to our staff, and then we have to listen to all the partners. And so it's constantly refining who we are and where we want to go. One of the things that we do here a lot is that we take risks. And a lot of it has to do with not just taking risk for the sake of taking risk. We take a risk on people. We take risk on companies. We take risk on the way that we do things. And a good example is how Daniel and I started, right? Daniel came to me with a plan, and he said, I have this plan. No one will listen to me. And would you help me? So risk. I took a risk on Daniel. Then we met Kurt, and we listened to what Kurt had to say, and what you said, Daniel, right? It's a calculated risk, right? After our first meeting with Kurt, there wasn't much risk in my mind in partnering with Kurt. He had a lot of work to do and a lot of changes to make, but I saw in him that those changes could be made. So that's just a couple examples of taking risks. Now, go back to what you said, Kurt, about maybe you can talk about taking risk on the client side in terms of how far you take a car or new things. Just
relocating his business across the metroplex.
Yeah.
I mean, just that alone.
That was risky because so much of my clients resided in another part of Dallas, which isn't really far from here. But when you think about it, you're like, oh, traffic and all these types of things add up. But it didn't become an issue because what I kept hearing was, we love you, we love the work, we'll follow you wherever you go. And so to then present these two guys as now my partners, and for those clients to feel comfortable and what they do, just opened the door up even more. So it was a risk for me to trust somebody new that I didn't know so well, but I had a good sense about their character and integrity. So for me, I was accustomed to making risks the past 10 years, and so I just made the choice, and I took a leap of faith, and away we went, and then there's no looking back.
What about you, Dan? You dropped a huge income to come do.
I did, but I don't know, man. It's just one of those things. Like I knew how that story was going to end if I kept going, and that's fine. It was a great book. It was great, but I was like, I want to do something different. I want to do something more. So yeah, I guess it was a risk, but in my mind, I think it's like the three of us, we just kind of looked at like,
well, we all
this,
hopped in the same boat,
yeah,
right?
We can do this.
And we all looked at each other and said, I don't want that boat to go without me in it. And that's just how simple it is, right? I don't want to be in my own little dinghy looking at this ship that's moving in that direction. I want to be a part of that. I want to be that ship. I want to be the envy of our competitors. Where they look at us and like, oh crap, we've got to step it up.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what we're doing. Back to understanding our customers in the market. We have such a large net that we cast that we can get that feedback and we can make adjustments to be better or to innovate or to create. And those things are really important, especially with a company of our scope, right, and our size. Is to constantly innovate and get creative in how we conduct business and care for our clients. So, and I think that makes us uniquely different.
Yeah.
And I just don't want regrets. I don't want to meet Daniel and then sit at my desk making whatever I was making before, which is certainly a comfortable income. But I don't want to sit at my desk and think, what if I'd have taken a chance on Daniel? I don't want to sit at my desk and think, what if I didn't take a chance on Kurt? What would that look like today? What if I wouldn't have taken a chance on Rassi? What if we wouldn't have taken the chance to do S Collective? What if we wouldn't have taken the chance to have Silvio, to have Max? I don't ever want to sit at my desk or at my house or journal in my journal and think, what if? I never want to ask what if. I always want to just measure out the risk, Daniel, as you say, very calculated in a calculated way, and have enough confidence in myself or in our group where we move it forward, because I just don't want to ever look back and say, well, what if we would have done?
Yeah, and it's the same old story, right? We all listen to, or Cody's more of a reader than I, but listen to a lot of audiobooks. We're part of men's groups at church,
Yeah.
and other avenues, and it's always the same story. You get to a place in your life where you're 70 or 80 years old, you're like, oh, I really wish I would have done that. I never want that for myself, and I don't want that for my children, and I don't want that for us. And I think that's what we're doing here, is not doing that.
Yeah, and
We were going the other. We're like, cool, we'll just risk it, and we will make it work.
And with you, Daniel, it was different. It was even more risk because you have a wife that has some medical issues, and so you took a really big risk. You always knew you could go back to where you were doing before, but still.
Yeah. I mean, it was a change, but I look at it as this gives me. I don't know how to describe it. I knew where I was going. I knew what could be made. I know how many days I was going to work. Everything was already set. This almost kind of like reinvigorated me. It kind of gave me something new to look forward to. I didn't master it by any means, but I knew what was going to come of it. I could kind of plan the next couple of years. It's like you base it off a hail season, and December I have nothing to do. January maybe nothing to do.
Remind everybody what you did before.
It's PDR, so I was doing paintless dent repair, and it's very much on a whim as far as you're waiting for the phone to ring. You've got some set accounts and some shops that we constantly have some work for you, but your big chunk of your yearly income was hail.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of doing a rain dance and hoping that it gets ugly. When everybody else is pulling their cars inside, I'm like, oh yeah, I don't think it's gonna be that bad. I'd leave them out. There was fun in that, but I always knew, I was like, okay, every year's kind of the same. I mean, like Cody said, I sit there and I'm like, what are we doing again?
Yeah.
Like I almost get excited. I'm like, wait, what? Like stuff that I never thought about. You've got two other guys that are thinking big. So sometimes I'm along for the ride. I'll be honest. Sometimes I'm looking, I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. Like, let's do it. But that's the strength here.
Yeah, exactly. So for you, it was kind of like a temporary drop, but then it had, exponential growth.
I'm still a little, Cody and I talk about it. I was doing like 3 days a week, maybe. I was taking like a month off. I do miss some of the freedom and some of the other time, but this is one of those where you're playing the long game, right? So hopefully a lot of hard work in the beginning will get me back to that kind of schedule again. It probably won't, but maybe.
Hey, that's the hope one day.
Yeah, it ain't gonna. I mean, no, it might someday. Yeah.
I don't know if I want to go back to that, to be honest. Now that I see what can be accomplished,
Yeah,
fun.
Never stop moving forward.
yeah.
Yeah. And so with that, you kind of hinted at it earlier. Do you want to talk about the media side that you were talking about earlier? Or in your shop and
So we have acquired Slambo Media, and he's pretty well known in Dallas. Kurt, can you talk a little? Can you talk a little bit about Salim? And you've got more history than we do.
Well, he worked for me. Right? I hired him.
Yeah.
He had done a really good job networking. He's really talented at that, with dealerships and different car clubs and car communities around the Metroplex. And so for me, when I had met him, he was extremely polished. His presentation skills were top notch. His decks were impressive. And so that I knew I needed a guy like that to help me get to where I wanted to go. And so when he was doing the marketing stuff for me, he was helping me get exposure that I wasn't able to get on my own. So by adding him to our team and what he's capable of and how his connections look in this market, it gives us a lot more leverage.
And Lindsay too,
right?
Kurt.
And
Lindsay too.
Yeah, his assistant.
Yeah. I think partner's a good way to put it. Yeah, team member.
So I got emails from her constantly, right? So I think it's going to be a fantastic addition to what we do great here. And again, we're casting a bigger net, right?
Yeah, and Kurt, to your point, Salim is really good at shooting content. He's really good, but he's not a very good business person. And so that's something that that is where joining the S Collective makes it totally different. You can bring your skills here and
Be who you really are.
yeah, and Kurt's the perfect example, right? Not that you were a bad business person before, not at all. But
I appreciate that.
yeah, you get to play to your strengths. You know, you get to play for your strengths. Kurt's strength was not running a company. Daniel's strength is not running a company. Now we're teaching him how to run a company, and Kurt gets to do what he loves. Kissing babies and shaking hands.
I kiss a lot of hands.
Kiss
There's
hands.
some kings around here or something.
But Salim's a perfect example of somebody who can make a great addition to S Collective. He can bring content and skills and knowledge. We'll fix the business part of that. But his skills, and now having another.
It's fresh eyes with creativity.
Yeah, right. And having two, I know Rast excited, 2 photographers, 2 videographers. It just ups our game. But the strength of the S Collective is by plugging his business in, it becomes a real business. You know, now it's just a side hustle that he loves to do. Now it's going to become a real business. I think that's the best way to put it.
That's cool. Yeah. When you said that, it made me think the S Collective is just a surge protector for more businesses, just to keep plugging in all the way along.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Surge protector.
The S stands for
It is.
The Surge Protector Collective.
Surge Collective.
All right. S Collective Surge Protectors.
That's not a bad idea.
That's brilliant.
We're always needing them. So
We can PPF and ceramic coat them before.
We're an innovative company here.
that's awesome. Well, that's all the time we have today. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We'll see you next time.
All right. Thanks.